What up, what up, what up, Entourage? Welcome back and welcome to the first 2021 edition of Buy, Sell, Hold. I know it's your favorite video. You know how I know? Because you guys are always asking me about trade questions. And yeah, I see the analytics from last year. But this is a whole new year. And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome, subscribe. But also, let's explain what's going to go down. We're going to talk about who you should be going after, who you should be getting rid of, and who you should hold on to dear life because they had a bad game and you're tripping. All right, guys, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it.
The fantasy football Entourage are winning.
Yes, Entourage, we are winning. Don't forget that I have the premium product. If you want a full list of my trade targets, of who we should be getting away, this is only, a couple of what's a long list of players who you should buy, sell, and hold. And by the way, it's only $20 whole year. Not only that, you get my complete list of trade targets, but you also get my rankings, which come out tomorrow. You get an updated rankings that come out Saturday, and you get my extended waiver wire list and free agent targets. All right, guys, but getting into today's video, let's talk about it. My first buy, Justin Herbert. Yeah, I love Justin Herbert. And kind of like Zach Wilson, I talked about that a little bit yesterday. I like him even more that he didn't have a great game. Why? Because sometimes we learn more about a player in a lackluster performance than we do in a great performance. For instance, Jimmy Garoppolo had a great performance. He's probably going to hold off Trey Lance for the year, right? Wrong. Why? It's the Detroit stinking Lions. I could probably throw for 200 on the Lions, no offense. So, yeah. But going into what I feel is the best defense, Washington, and putting up 300 yards on the road. He didn't have the touchdowns. I think he had an interception. But 300 yards, and that included like 7 drops. So, I'm not big on quarterbacks, but there's always exceptions to those rules. And anybody that knows me or paid my contact knows there's 2 main quarterbacks I've been talking about: Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert. Yes, Zach Wilson and Trey Lance, but those are more like high upside, stashes to get on your later round. But 2 main quarterbacks I've been talking about all year: Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts. So if you have a fringe quarterback, because again, quarterbacks are not that important, but elite players are important, right? And Herbert is elite. And he showed that this Sunday because he gave you a decent floor. Even it's all upside from here, guys. There's no matchup harder than going on the road to Washington. So imagine that. So yes, quarterbacks are not that important, but elite players are. And right now, this is going to be the lowest you could get him. And if you're a team that doesn't have a Murray, a Dak, a Mahomes, or a Russ, I think that's it, or Hurts, those 5. But even if I got Brady, I'd rather have Hurts. I'd rather have him than Tannehill. I'd rather have him than whoever. Matt Stafford, there's not that big a difference to really do that. But Herbert, guys, if you didn't get an elite quarterback, Herbert is that dude. Number 2 on my buy list, Mike Davis. Probably a surprise here, huh? I mean, after all, he didn't do anything against Philadelphia. And people were saying, he's a career backup and, they just got Gallman. But what happened? 75% of the snaps. That is full out workhorse load, guys. Very few running backs get over 65%, let alone 70. I think there's probably 10 or less. And Mike Davis was one of them. Not only that, but he got 6 targets. How many running backs get 6 targets? How many running backs get 75% snaps and 6 targets? Okay? But he stunk it up. 3.3 yards per carry, I believe. Philadelphia, guys. Didn't Zeke stink it up against Tampa? Didn't Aaron Jones stink it up against Saints? Philadelphia has been historically well. Every year, they're one of the toughest against the run. But follow the volume. And there's a lot of people. There's people that drop Mike Davis. I know. I want to be in those leagues as well. So, yeah, follow the volume. And again, the buy list, I didn't go over this, but the buy list, guys, is players at a discount. You know what I'm saying? So we're not going to put Tyler Lockett on a buy list after a 2-touchdown performance. So usually they're players coming off bad games or mediocre games, or maybe they're just lower sentiment about a player. That's how they end up on the buy list. Mike Davis, you get him super cheap. Super cheap. Super cheap. I love discounts, guys, in fantasy and real life. Another discount. Another situation where you got to read between the lines. And it's no surprise here. If you guys have been following the last 2 days, I've probably mentioned this, but Jameis Winston only threw 20 passes. Maybe, yeah, he threw 20 passes. What do you have, like 150 yards, completed 14 passes? 5 touchdowns saved his day. But what are you supposed to do when your quarterback only throws 20 passes? And you're covered by Alexander. There will be better days for Callaway. And the funny thing about it is a lot of people, like Mike Davis, probably dropped him. That's how fantasy owners are. You guys have no patience. I don't even think it's patience. I just think there's this like illusion that good players have good games every week, and if they don't, they suck, and that's it. If that was the case, you would have dropped Zeke, you would have dropped Aaron Jones, you would have dropped, a lot of people. So that's why it's important to have a backbone, and that's why I have a backbone. But it's also important not to be too stubborn. You know what I'm saying? The player stinks, he stinks. Like, I had a bad call last year. Juju, I thought he'd be a lot better. But I'm not going to keep – Juju's going to come back because I said he was going to be good last year, so I'm going to stick to it. No, you move on. Okay? But you also got to give players that are good, that you're convinced of. Like, you got to look at the whole body of work. Derrick Henry a couple years ago started off slow as hell and then ended up with like 1,800 yards or something. Like, there's players that do that. There's players that are unanimously slow starters. There's players that, are fast starters and fade. That's why it's important to watch football and really know. And that's why I think having 25 plus years of watching football, I've been watching football since 93. And then you learn certain patterns. You learn certain teams play good at home. Certain teams play good on the road. Certain teams, you cannot even beat at home. Certain teams play good and that in the beginning of the year, Miami Dolphins is one of the toughest places to play in Miami because of that heat. You learn these things through experience. Experience is big. A lot of people now, they started playing fantasy football before they fall in love with the game of football, and all they do is watch numbers. That's a very, very different lens than somebody that fell in love with football, loves the sport, watches the sport, than some stat geek, So if you really love fantasy football, try to learn to love football. Try to watch the game because you're going to learn so much more when you watch the game and you love the game than, looking at a bunch of stats. And half of y'all just look at points, which doesn't tell the whole story either, because you could be shit. Perfect example of that. You can be, it could be a blowout game, and all of a sudden, you get a running back that's the third down back. Like, let's say you get, like Nyheim Hines, and he has a bunch of points, and he ends up with 20 points because they want to preserve Taylor, and they're just down, so they're just throwing him a bunch of passes, and all of a sudden you think like Nyheim Hines is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then you get one of your league mates that pulls a fast one on you. He's like, yo, Hines got 20 points. He's on the upside, and you don't know what the hell you're doing. You see the 20 points. You're like, oh, yeah, he got 20 points. This guy's great. And then you trade him for a stud who had a bad week, or he'll fluff up a package. He'll do Hines and AB for your AJ Brown. You're like, oh, shit, AB had 20 points. Hines had 20 points, hypothetically speaking. Shit, I killed this deal. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Elite always wins. Whoever gets the best player in the trade always wins. I don't care how many players you got. Whoever gets the best player in a trade always wins, period. Enough on that. Moving on to my sells. This is my ruffle few fetish. Usually I don't have a lot of quarterbacks on here, but I think there's probably one person in every league that still views Lamar as elite. Now, what I finished saying earlier, quarterbacks are not that important unless you could get an elite one, right? But there's still people, a lot of you guys, well, those of you who've been with me in the past, maybe not, but a lot of fantasy owners live in the past. That's why they like the name. They like Lamar. They like Gurley. They like, that's why when Latavius Murray got cut and all of a sudden he went to the Baltimore Ravens, everybody went rushing to get Latavius Murray. Or even better yet, they went rushing to get Le'Veon Bell. Dude's still on the practice squad. Fantasy football players are just nostalgic. They love names. They love the sexy names. That don't win. That doesn't win. So in the case of Lamar, like, I look at a game like Oakland, Las Vegas, Raiders, Monday night. Raiders D ain't nothing special. I mean, I think they've improved. I'll be fair. But, there's probably one person in every league that still views Lamar and will give you something for him. And because we have so much depth at the quarterback position, especially this year, where you could get a decent wide receiver too, I would go for it. And don't do those trades. Here's another thing I see all the time. It's like trade quarterback for quarterback and another player. No, that's stupid. You don't need another quarterback. You can get another quarterback. Because I'm pretty sure it's Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, one of those sitting on your bench. And then if you got a deeper bench, you could back them up with a Trey Lance or Justin Fields. So then you could get a play. You could hypothetically end up getting a better quarterback than Lamar for free and then upgrading elsewhere. So if you could trade Lamar for like a T. Higgins, definitely like a DJ Moore, Robert Woods. I'm thinking of players that didn't have great games. I would definitely go for it. Because a lot of things are going on with Lamar. Like, I'm not hating on Lamar. I think some people, anytime you talk battle about Lamar, it's like you're hating. No, I'm not hating, but you see a natural regression with Lamar. And I've seen this before. Again, I watch football. I've been doing this 25 years, guys. Mike Vick in the beginning was not as good as Mike Vick 2 or 3 years later. And it had nothing to do with him getting old. Lamar Jackson not old. But it's weird. A lot of quarterbacks peak early. Mahomes still had his best year 2 years ago. Now, Mahomes is special. I still think he could have a better year. Don't get it twisted. But we've seen this before. Kaepernick, I remember Ron Jaworski said Kaepernick's going to be the greatest quarterback ever. Even Russell Wilson, he barely runs anymore, but he's still great. Mike Vick, Donovan McNabb, all these Cam Newton, perfect example, was an MVP, and then eventually, guys, defenses figure you out. Now, he still rushed for 80 yards, but, I mean, his passing numbers have just been pedestrian the last year and one game. Like, Lamar struggles to even get 200 passing yards. And now the offensive line looks shaky. The run game looks suspect. Still ain't got no weapons, even though I think Marquise Brown's a damn good receiver. So I'd rather get out of that situation. And usually I like selling high. So Lamar's not coming out for a great game, but Lamar has name brand equity where there's people that would be willing to buy him, what they feel is a discount, I think, because there could be league mates that maybe T. Higgins is their fourth receiver. You know, they're deep at receiver, and I would take that. I would even take a Mike Davis for Lamar. You know, running backs, it's tough out here for running backs. I mean, it's hard to find a good running back. I would take Mike Davis for Lamar. Javonte Williams. You might be able to get Javonte Williams. Melvin Gordon. Ooh, he looks amazing. Psych. All right, enough of that. Next sell. Josh Jacobs. Again, follow the volume. 2 touchdowns, saved his ass, getting no targets. Drake almost split evenly in snaps. Now I'm fair. Game flow had a lot to do with that. That was a shutout. But hey, there's a good chance the Raiders are going to be in a lot of shootouts, excuse me. Because look at the division. Kansas City, Chargers. What do you think? Those are going to be like 20-20 games? No. So, yeah, and this is part of the reason I didn't like Josh Jacobs. But I said, you're better off getting Drake like 6 rounds later. He's the better value, and he could give you almost identical numbers, I thought. At least close enough. And then you add the injuries. He's had problems with shoulders. Raiders don't have a good offensive line. He averaged less than 4 yards per carry last year. It looks like he's well on the way to doing that this year. But because of what I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of people that only see numbers and they only look at points. So they're like, oh, Josh Jacobs had 17 points. Ooh, let me get him. I need a running back. Take advantage, especially you could take advantage because running back is a premium position. That's why I put so much focus on it. But I put focus on the right running backs, not just any running backs, and pass catching backs. I know what you're probably thinking. Chubb's not a pass catching back, but Chubb's special, guys. Like every once in a while, there's exceptions to the rule. Chubb and Henry are those exceptions. And even Henry, you didn't hear me talking about him too much. And I think he'll be fine, but I think he'll also have games like he did last Sunday, but he's one of those notoriously slow starters. So yeah, Josh Jacobs, get him out of here. Mike Williams, this is the perfect example of a sell candidate. Oh my gosh. Now Mike Williams is talented, guys. Like he has the talent to really do some big things. He's got the offense to really do some big things. Part of the reason I'm so bullish on Herbert and Chargers offense as a whole is because of their coach. I'm all about following coaches, guys. There's certain coaches that have certain patterns. And you're probably thinking, well, Joe Lombardi, this is his first year as a head coach. Yes, but look where he's coming from. Where a coach comes from is a good indication of how he's going to play, his style of play. And it looks like this offense is going to be lit, guys. Like I said, 300-plus passing yards with 7 drops at Washington. But Mike Williams, at the same time, history repeats itself. I have no faith in Mike Williams staying healthy. And we've also seen this before. Now, I think he could be more consistent this year because, again, it's a new coaching staff. Anthony Lynn was, his pedigree. He's a former running back. He's big on the running backs and da-da-da. This guy, Sean Payton, going to air this thing out. Justin Herbert. But, again, given his history, it's still got to be lingering in the back of your head. He's been boom or bust. But the main reason is 2 things. So number 1, his injury history. Dude cannot stay healthy, period. And number 2 is we want to sell high. Buy low, sell high. And coming off a performance like he just had, we don't know if his value is going to be any higher. At the same time, here's the thing. It's not buy low, sell low. Because a lot of you guys take this video and it's like, rapper said sell him. I got to sell him. What am I going to do? And then you get a worse deal than what you had. No, it's not sell Josh Jacobs for, I don't know, for AB. I wouldn't sell him for AB because the running back premium. So it's not like that, guys. It's not sell at all cost. It's sell for a fair deal. Doesn't mean you're gonna be like ridiculous either. You're not gonna be like, give me Mike Williams for AJ Brown, man. Mike Williams had 20-some points. AJ Brown, like you gotta be realistic. But buy low, sell high. Don't sell low. Don't sell at all cost. All right, we're done with our sell list. Hold. Anybody surprised? I mean, literally is the one quarterback I've been telling everybody to get all offseason, more than anyone. Even more than Herbert, only because I thought Herbert would be harder to get. My strategy in every draft was if I can get Herbert in the 6th, if he's around, then I'm cool with it. Depending on the quarterbacks that were chosen, then I'm good with that. If not, I get Jalen Hurts in the 8th. That was pretty much my strategy every single league. Didn't really work because of Superflex. So Superflex kind of fucked that shit up. But yeah, man, Hurts. And I mentioned this time and time again. It's like those quarterbacks, you're getting 2 for 1 because they're like running backs, especially running backs these days. It's like almost impossible to get a 100-yard game these days. So when, Hurts is rushing for 60 and then throwing for 260 more and then a couple touchdowns and, it's like you're getting 2 for 1. And that's big. Like I'm not big on quarterbacks, but I'm big on the right quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? And Herbert's just so elite that he's just going to throw for so many yards and so many touchdowns. It's almost going to be like 2 for 1, which is why I like Herbert. And there's a little more security in Herbert because I'm a realist, guys. I hear the rumors. I hear they wanted Deshaun Watson. Not like they've been showing Hurts like crazy amount of love, but I saw him play and I watch him as like a man, as a person. And the dude just seems very, very dedicated, dedicated on football, dedicated on improving himself. He's not out in the club popping bottles. He's all about football. I actually stalk a lot of these players on Instagram to see what are they posting. And this guy is all football. He's strictly business. He's very respected by his team, and he's got that chip on his shoulder. He's that underdog. I think he ended up transferring from what was it, Alabama or something. So he has that underdog mentality. And to be quite frank, especially when we're talking quarterbacks, that plays an important role more than any other position because you're the leader of that team. Everybody's looking at you. So if they see that, then guess what? You know what? The offensive lineman, I want to block for that guy. The running back, I want to go the extra yard for that guy. The receiver, I don't want to let my guy down. I'm going to catch these balls. That plays a part. And so, it's kind of like the whole package when it comes with Herbert. So I don't think that Atlanta game was a fluke. Remember, guys, it's the National Football League. If it was at home, whatever. But going to somebody else's house the first week, especially where the fans are pumped up and everything, it's hard to win in the NFL. It's even harder to win on the road. And he went ahead and did that. Not only did they do that, but they dominated. Another hold. What the fuck? All right. I blame that on my graphic editor. That is not DJ Chark. And I'm not telling anybody to hold Trevor Lawrence. Although I think he'll be okay because that team is garbage, so he'll be getting a lot of garbage points. But that's pretty funny. I'm going to leave that there, actually. But I do think you should hold DJ Chark. Here's why. I don't have a problem trading DJ Chark. My thing with DJ Chark is he's got an injury history. He just does. But remember, guys, everything is relative, right? So I'm not opposed to getting DJ Chark, but I think you're not going to get a whole lot for him. That's my belief. Now, every league is different. What they say, a dummy is born every 2 minutes. Some of y'all in free leagues, some of y'all in family leagues. So, yeah, if you could, they're throwing the kitchen sink at you for DJ Chark, go for it. Like, but I don't think you're going to get enough value where it's going to be worth moving him, even with the injury history, because of what we saw Sunday. Now, his stats weren't like, oh my God. I think he only had, 3 catches, but he did have 80 yards and he did have a touchdown. But most importantly, kind of like the theme this whole video, 12 targets. And he plays on a team where they obviously don't want to run the ball. They obviously have no defense, considering that they made Houston look like the greatest show on turf. And the other guy on the other side of him, yes, Marvin Jones, is pretty injury prone himself. So DJ Chark's another guy I watch closely. He's married. He's young too. He's like 23 or something. He's married. He has a kid. He gained 10 pounds. So for whatever it's worth, it looks like the guy is mature. It looks like he takes things serious. When you have a kid, you got something to play for it. You got a lady, you got something to play for it. You ain't in the streets. So I'm willing to hold on to him. Now, if somebody blows me away with an offer, go ahead. But my hold list is for players that either had a bad game and we shouldn't be overreacting, or players that had a good game and I think they can continue to have good games. It's not a fluke. And I don't think DJ Chark is a fluke. I think there'll be opportunities demonstrated by the 12 targets and Jacksonville's trash defense. So that's why he's my hold. Now, last but not least, yeah, the thumbnail. Guys, don't be ridiculous. Okay? I've been seeing Saquon in so many. Rapper, should I trade Miles Sanders or should I trade Saquon for Miles Sanders? No. Is Derrick Henry, is this the year he's going to flop? Aaron Jones, should I be worried? Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard's going to take over that job. Guys, you're talking about 4 first-round picks. The only one that had a pretty decent matchup is Derrick Henry. But again, if you watch football, if you're experienced, if you know, he tends to start slow. There's just, I don't know why he does it. He just does. Just like Mahomes always starts. I mean, Mahomes is good all the time, but he's especially good early. So is Russ. Russ tends to flame out late. That's been a pattern with him. He starts, it's just what he does. Saquon, first game back, Denver, one of those defenses that really good against the run. Aaron Jones, New Orleans, arguably one of the best against the run. Ezekiel Elliott, Tampa Bay, may be the best against the run. We're talking about a shootout, guys. There are 4 first-round picks. Who are you going to get that's better than Ezekiel Elliott, Aaron Jones, Barkley, and Derrick Henry? Please tell me. Because those little flimsy packages, what I tell you guys, that's what I be trying to do to people. I can't do. I'm in all expert league, so it doesn't really work for me. But I still try to do it. And every once in a while, I can do it. But remember, guys, whoever gets the best player in the deal wins. I don't care how many good players you get. If you didn't get the best, you done lost that trade. Now, it's your turn. What kind of questions you got for me? Oh, before we get into questions, I know a lot of you guys are degenerates out there. If you're not, it's more fun, to be quite frank, whether it's crypto, which, by the way, I have the first fantasy token I created, fantasytoken.io. Check that out. But if you're into betting, if you're into DFS, we killed it last week. I won all 4 of my games. Made some good money. It's only $50, not a week or a weekend, the whole month. Or you get the whole season through the Super Bowl, guys, $200. If you play the picks, you're gonna make money. You're making money for free. Now, if you just do 1 or 2, and then you might not win. But if you play every pick, or at least the majority of them, you're going to win. You get your money back and then some. Everybody's happy. This is why I watch a fuck ton of film. It's pretty simple, guys. fantasyfootballrapper@gmail.com. DM me at fantasyfootballrapper if you want more info on that. And the floor is yours. All right. Questions. Boom, 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 boom. 8-man. Oh, I hate your fucking 8-man. Guys. All right. I'm being an asshole, but fucking 8-man leagues, like, what the fuck, guys? 8-man redraft, PPR, start 3. No, we're not doing start sits. Do I trade Gaskin and Kirk for Carson? Gaskin and Kirk. You're talking about Christian Kirk? My other backs are Najee. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. You got to watch out for Carson. He's injury prone, but Gaskin is a small dude, so it's worth it. It's worth the gamble. Picked up Josh late in the draft and traded him for Mike Evans. I mean, I think they're both kind of like even. Mike Evans going to be super boomer bust. What's your opinion? Oh, my God. Everybody here is asking me about Ayuk. I feel like a broken record. It's not looking good. Simply put, it's just not. Like, you usually don't talk to your star receiver or talk about your star receiver the way Kyle Shanahan is basically saying, like, he hasn't been good at practice. He's not that much better than Sheffield. In order to get snaps, you got to be much better. Like, it's not looking good, man. But again, you're not going to sell him because who are you going to get for Brandon Ayuk now? Unless it's just a Brandon Ayuk fanboy out there, you ain't going to get nothing for him. So you just got to wait it out. But he does have the talent to bounce back. It's not looking pretty. That's all I'm going to say on that because I've addressed it like 100 times. I already have Devontae, Keenan Allen as my wide receivers and ABS flex. Should I trade Calvin Ridley for Antonio Gibson yeah, either one of those? Would you give up Mahomes for Najee and Winston? I have Barkley, J-Rob, and Tyson Williams. Yeah. I would still jury's still out on Winston, but you could probably then, do another deal, Winston, somebody else for like Herbert or Jalen Hurts or something. So I do think that it might be worth it to get Najee. Just running backs are hard to come by. I have Thielen at flex. What you recommend to do with this guy? He's going to remain top flex pick. I'd love to package him with someone else to get a solid RB3. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of stuff wrong with this. First of all, Thielen was a wide receiver 1 last year. I don't know if you knew that. So if you got him at flex, I'd say you're doing pretty good. Is he going to remain a top flex pick? No, he's going to be a solid wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside, what he's always been. I'd love to package him with someone else to get a solid RB3. I mean, as far as solid RB3, are you talking about David Montgomery, who's really a RB1? But I got him as my RB3 and a lot of you guys because he went in the 3rd round. But, I mean, that's the only thing I'm packaging, Thielen with. Like, I need a good running back, not a, like, top 24 to 36. I mean, I don't know how many people are in your league, but, like, when I think of RB3, I'm thinking of, like, 24 to 36 running backs. So, definitely not. Drop Philip Lindsay for getting well. Well, I hope you're getting well, Crystal. Hasty Roundtree. I would drop him for Gainwell. Assuming you mean Gainwell. Drop Philip Lindsay. Oh, there she corrected herself. Do you think DJ Moore and Laviska for Allen Robinson is a good trade? CD, Ayuk, Marcus Brown, Judy are my other receivers that I might pick up like Fuller on waivers. First of all, fuck Fuller. I wouldn't pick him up. DJ Moore and Laviska. No, because you don't have crazy depth at receiver. So I think on a good day, DJ Moore could put up similar numbers to Robinson. Laviska is going to have a pretty safe floor. If you had like another stud receiver, I would say yes. But since you don't, and Callaway could be, but I mean, he's still a question mark. Again, like I'm a realist. I think Callaway is going to ball, but is there a chance he doesn't? Yeah, there's a chance he doesn't. I mean, he was an undrafted receiver, but I think he'll be fine. But given that, you gotta weigh the risk to benefit ratio. Why does this camera look shitty? There we go. Any other questions, or else I'm gonna wrap this up because I got a shitload to do and I'm hungry as fuck. Going once, going twice. Remember to hit me up for the bets. Hit a like before you leave. A subscribe would be awesome. Until next time, peace.